reiterate basically what the strategy is, and what our main objectives and aims and so on are. This is what our vision and aim and approach look like. The vision is unchanged since the start of the campaign. The aim now is to take Labour's recognition that the current voting system is broken effectively and turn that into action by the next Labour government on electoral reform. And we just got to do that by holding up the criticism that Labour itself has made and the language Labour itself has used, and challenging the party, encouraging the party to respond to it when it's in government. The objectives that the campaign is focused on are these five. Firstly, continuing to grow support and consolidate support amongst CLPs and the membership. Secondly, doing the same amongst affiliated trade unions, building on that 2/3 of trade unions who are in favour. Building understanding amongst key senior stakeholders, thinking about NEC and shadow cabinets and people involved in manifesto writing, the leadership's office, people of that nature. Building support amongst the next parliamentary Labour Party, so that's MPs who are going to be staying on and prospective parliamentary candidates who are going to become Labour MPs. And then guiding and supporting external campaigning, with a view to sort of helping to generate this unprecedented public demand for PR that we now need. I'll stop sharing my screen there. So I think it's worth saying a word about what our approach is to the manifesto, because this is something people have asked about. And we're very clear that the ask of our campaign now is action by next Labour government on electoral reform. What that means in practice, I mean, there's multiple routes to achieving that. In practice, if we are able to get the wording that we have secured in the party programme into the manifesto, then that would be extremely welcome. Just retaining that criticism of first past the post creates all sorts of opportunities in general election results of various kinds. We obviously want something stronger. If anything stronger that we can get in the manifesto is going to be brilliant. And we'll be doing everything we can to ensure that can happen. Whether that does happen, though, depends on, it depends on us continuing our work inside the party. It also depends on, what's happening outside of the party, whether there is that public pressure that we're talking about, and that really sort of unprecedented uptick of public demand, which we hope will be coming forward, and we want to, support and nurture. And it also depends on, external events and what the next, what the political conditions are as we approach the general election. Lots of this work, I mean, there's aspects of it which we'll talk about, and which are very much sort of still building support amongst CLPs, building support amongst trade unions, where we need to be mobilising and consolidating, and all of us have things that we need to be doing to continue to make progress. Other aspects of the work are going to be done, slightly more lobbying key decision makers, things that don't happen quite so much in public, but are, nonetheless really, really crucial. And some of the work towards, getting whatever wording does end up in the manifesto is going to be of that kind of slightly less public, slightly more sort of influencing kind of nature. Laura or Alex, who would like to go next?
Let's take age before beauty. So I'll talk about CLPs because Sam isn't here. So this will be a lot less expert than it would be if Sam was here. As you will know, if you're in one, given the boundary changes, some CLPs are deemed to have substantially changed. I can't remember the percentage because I'm not Sam. It might be 85% of your CLP has disappeared or something. Anyway, you will know if you're in one of the CLPs because you'll now be in a new one. If you're in a new one, technically you don't have any policy. And obviously we would really like you to have pro-PR policy. So if you or friends or neighbours are in a new CLP, could you please get in touch with Sam, and Sam, working with the Labour Campaign for Electoral Reform team, will organise a speaker to come to your CLP so we can re-top up our CLP motions. And even though we don't need to win the argument again at conference, it can do us no harm to carry on having the discussion. There will be bits of the country that haven't had a PR debate. If you're in Scotland or in Wales in particular, then we're really, really keen to hear from you. But basically, wherever you are, we would like to continue the discussion. And so if you're in a new CLP, please let us know. And I think that Alex will put a message in the chat with the correct contact details. And now I'm going to pass to Alex to talk about both PPC selections and work with PPCs more generally.
Thanks. I'm just doing a double act of posting in the chat and spinning onto this. So yeah, and some people might have seen, I've just responded to Catherine in the chat, who was just talking about what we're doing with PPCs. So yeah, we are continuing to track through hustings and through selection processes what candidates say about PR. So it is incredibly helpful if you have contact with them. If you share that with us, then we can keep track and then reach out to people and make sure that they're properly briefed and familiar with all of the arguments for why PR is really important for Labour members and the right thing for Labour and for progressives. Yeah, I think it's probably helpful to mention as well, like throughout conference, I came across a lot of PPCs who have had the conversation locally and who have felt pressure from local members, so that is having an effect. And they start it in a way, that kind of mainstreaming of the issue is starting to get through, where I think we will hopefully get to a point where it becomes the consensus, the norm. I would actually have a hard time arguing that it wasn't at this point, given all of the progress the campaign has made over the last couple of years. But I think that's gradually getting through to the incoming tranche of PPCs, and hopefully we'll, once fingers crossed we have a Labour government, we'll have a really well briefed group of new parliamentarians who feel they've got the backing of local members and CLPs for this, and are sufficiently well briefed to speak about it confidently. But yeah, it is incredibly helpful if you get in touch with Sam or me on PPCs and CLP work.
And there's other things people can be doing. People who are members of trade unions, make sure your details are up to date on our system. You can do that on the website. Just use any form basically, and if your trade union details are in there, and we need to do something in your trade union, which in many cases we may need to, then we'll be in touch about that. We're hoping at some stage, this is going to be sort of coming down the track, but we're hoping to look at organising canvassing for Labour with Labour for PR, which will be closer to the general election. And of course, you can join LCR. Anyone who hasn't yet joined the Labour campaign for electoral reform, please